This is the air brake and tug test. It's a two-part test. The first part, we will test the pressure of the braking system, the tractor, the trailer, and the service to make sure that all the emergency mechanisms catch in. Then we will move on to the tug test, which will test the mechanics of each brakes. The tractor brake, the trailer brake, and the service brake to make sure they are all functioning. The air brake test starts. The first part of it is my wheel is chalked, my seatbelt is on, my engine's running, my air pressure is at 120 psi. I will now turn my engine off, put it back into the on position, but I will not start it. Now I will release my yellow tractor and red trailer brake and wait for the initial air loss, which is the hissing sound that you hear. When that lowers or goes away, I will begin without the service brake applied. That means my feet on nothing. I cannot lose more than 3 psi in 1 minute. Please time me. The examiner will time you for 1 minute, and you should not have an air loss of less than 3 psi. After the examiner says time, you would go on to the next step, which is with the service brake applied, I can't lose more than 4 psi per combination vehicle. Please time me. Once again, the examiner will time you for 1 minute. Use that time to think about your next step. If you're nervous, take a deep breath, calm, but you keep your foot on the service brake until the examiner says time. Once he says time, you release that brake. And you move on to the next step, which is begin pumping the brakes until the low air pressure warning light on your dash and the buzzer comes off at about 60 psi. And that's when you begin pumping the brakes. You'll hear an alarm. You'll see 2 indicators on your instrument panel. Now you will continue pumping your air brakes until your yellow tractor and red trailer knob pop out, which are engaging the brakes between 20 and 40 psi. You'll see the trailer will always pop first, and then there's the tractor. So both are popped out. Now we need to get our air pressure back up so that we can move on to the next part, which is the mechanical testing of the brakes, which is called the tug test. We do that by making sure the truck is in neutral, depressing the clutch, starting the engine. We will idle it to 1500 RPMs until our air pressure on our primary and secondary gauges get back to 120 psi, and that takes 90 to 120 seconds or 2 minutes. Pressure is back up to 120 psi. We are ready to move on to the tug test. The first thing I would do is I would move the wheel to the left, release my seatbelt, get out of the truck, remove the chalk, climb back in, 3 points of contact, put my seatbelt on, straighten out my wheel. Now I will test my trailer brakes by pressing my yellow tractor brake. I would depress the clutch, put it in first gear, and give it a little tug. Sorry about that. Then I would put it back in neutral, pull the tractor, yellow tractor brake, and now I'm going to test the tractor brakes by pressing the red trailer knob, push in the clutch, depress the clutch, give it a little tug, back in neutral. Now I'm going to test the service brake by depressing the yellow tractor and red trailer brake. At the same time, I will move the vehicle 3 to 5 feet at 5 miles per hour, applying the service brake to check. Then I would move 3 to 5 feet slowly, push in my surface brake, full brake, and I believe that completes my air brake and tech test.